pre-show because I have to make sure now that I can get everybody on the live stream. So here we go. I am going to have us go live over on YouTube and on LinkedIn, and then we'll get things rolling. So bear with me, and hopefully this part will be edited out when we replay it later. Let's see here. So we're live there. And yes, we are live on LinkedIn. That worked out beautifully. So welcome, LinkedIn. Welcome, LinkedIn family. Let me go live on YouTube. And I know there's a better way to do this. And you would think after all this time, I would have figured this out. Lesson learned. I got to figure out how to make this work more smoothly. So when we start, we start. So welcome to the Minvo Procast. I am your host, Mark Ronick, and no one here with me today. No Nick Nallback, no guest. It's just yours truly. And today, what I decided to do, in addition to giving away a lifetime subscription to Minvo, I'm also going to be breaking down some recent short form content that I've made that, I guess by definition, went viral. And actually one in particular that we'll probably really break down today, that one got the most engagement I've ever had on any short form video that I've put out there. Quite frankly, on any piece of social media content that I've put out there over, let's say, the last 4 years. And I made all of these in Minvo as well, conveniently, and that one that went viral with over 30,000 views, that one was from our interview last week with Jason Sircone. And in the moment, felt like such a throwaway, but now I get why, and we're going to break that down for you. So if you did register via LinkedIn for this event today, and you did that before 11 a.m. Eastern, we have the wheel that we will be spinning. It should have your name on it, and I'm going to share it with you right here. Let me see if I can do it properly. I think I have. Let me double click or not. 1 second. It seems that the screen, the window that I'm trying to access is not fitting the screen, so I'm not seeing that little share button. So that will be fun. Let me do this. I'm going to look over here for a minute. Here we go. Okay, so here now you should be seeing the picker wheel. I get this from pickerwheel.com. And yeah, so we will be spinning this wheel shortly. But first, I want to break into today's content. And let me just check the chat real quick, see if we've got anybody. I see we've got a couple people over on YouTube, and I need to get over to LinkedIn. It looks like LinkedIn didn't go live, so we're going to make sure they're live now. Here we are. Yes, now Minvo, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Minvo Procast is live over on LinkedIn. It looks like we've got 5 viewers. Thank you for being here on LinkedIn Live and YouTube. And remember, if you are registered to win a lifetime subscription to Minvo, you got to be here for the duration of today's live. So stick around. We'll spin the wheel in a little bit. But for now, I want to dig into the video content. I have a little bit of a fear that is your sound on? Somebody's asking me if my sound is on. Okay, so Renee, who is in the LinkedIn chat, is answering somebody else in the chat. Renee, you can hear me? Is that fair? Please let me know if you can hear me. Want to make sure. And one of the concerns I have today is, will the audio play through the video? Meaning I have some short form video I want to share with you, and I'm really hoping that the audio comes through. And Renee has confirmed that I do have audio. Thank you to all of you who have joined us this morning. Yes, thank you. Now everybody is chiming in to let me know. So stick around if you are registered to win. I can hear on PC, but not phone. Okay, well, Kenneth, you're going to have to figure that out. I'm not sure I can help you in this moment. And let's dig in. So the purpose of today's live stream, it's to really break down this short form video that I published last week, shortly after the interview I did with Jason Cercone here on the Procast. And that video had on TikTok over 32,000 views, and it's still ticking. It's still going. It had 500 likes, over 500 likes, and over 320 saves. Now, that formula in itself is a sign when you know you've got a lot of views, a lot of likes, and a lot of saves. That is the algorithm's dream, right? The algorithm sees numbers where, okay, this is starting to get a lot of views. A lot of people are liking it. People are sharing it and saving it. This means the algorithm needs to push it out to even more people. And that's, I think, why after almost a week, this video is still getting traction. Okay, so what else are we going to do? I'm going to aim to share what made the video successful and what I could have done better. And I know, by the way, I'm looking over here. That's because I've got all of the content, the videos, the Minvo, etc., all on this screen. So if I'm not looking directly at you, just know I am looking at the stuff we are looking at together in just a moment. So yes, I will share what worked and what I think could have made it even better. And I will go through and stop every so often, check the chat, see if you have questions, if you have ideas or suggestions as well. I want to do that. I want to hear from you too. So thank you for being here and thank you for participating in today's chat. So Minvo's magic edits can transform your editing process. It really has for me. And I'm going to break down how it helped this one video of mine go viral. And I'm going to start by talking about Minvo and its tools that I take advantage of. So I'm going to share my screen here with you in one moment. Here we go. Let me hit share screen. And let me make sure I've got the right one. Yes. Okay, so now we are all looking at the Minvo project that I worked in. Let me bring it up to the beginning. The first thing I'm going to do is hit play. And if you're listening live in the chat, let me know if you can hear the sound. Okay, so I'm going to hit play. I'll play it through for a couple seconds. I've been steering away from Google and YouTube to search for things when I'm looking for answers. Okay, so let me know if you heard that or not in the chat. If not, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fix this on the fly. I was trying to play around with some settings before we started to prevent this issue, but it could be an issue. So let me know in the chat if yes. Peta says she heard it. Awesome. Good to know, Peta. Thank you. And now you're probably looking at you. Here you go. No, you're not. You're still looking at the screen. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about are the Minvo tools. What do I generally use when I am putting together long form, when I'm pulling in a long form video and I'm creating short form content from that video? So as I said earlier, this is from the Minvo Procast last week with Jason Cercone. And on the right here, you can see these magic edits tools. For me, generally speaking, I am not using many of these to start. Meaning when you go into Minvo and you give it a piece of content, long form, and you're telling it you want to create shorts, one of the things that it's going to ask you is, which of these awesome Minvo tools do you want to use or apply to your long form videos, or really the short form videos we're creating for you? And so that's things like Magic Frame, Magic Cut, magic emojis, media, emphasis, sound, etc. For the most part, when I'm doing this part of the process, when I'm first submitting my long form video. The only things I'm really checking off is magic frame and magic emphasis, because that's putting the emphasis on the captions that are popping up on the screen. That's for the most part all I'm starting with. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean I'm not using these. But I think for me, what I have found my preference to be is to start with as clean of a timeline as possible. Meaning, if you look down here on my timeline, and I'll try to adjust it a little bit here, you can see there's stuff going on, right? You can see all these different layers here of stuff going on. And when I'm starting with a project, maybe this is my ADHD, but when I'm starting with a project, I like it to be as clean as possible so I just can quickly engage with it and see where I want to go with this piece of content, right? So that's one. I do like to use the magic frame because that saves me a whole lot of time when I am in the edit process. When I am trying to be creative, I don't want to sit there and have to reframe everything all the way through. So I appreciate that feature a lot. And the other thing is that just because it works really well doesn't mean it works perfectly. And that's not necessarily a knock on the Minvo software. It's actually a knock on me, I think, because I tend to move a lot when I'm doing these videos, especially when I'm in an interview and I'm engaging with my guest. So once I do create the magic framing, then I'll go in and make sure that, yeah, I'm pretty centered, because sometimes you'll see me over here, sometimes you'll see me here. So I like to make sure that everything is as centered as possible. And I do think that matters. At least for me as a viewer, it's distracting when I see the framing all off, people out of screen, etc. I like it centered. At the very least, what it does is it doesn't cause any distraction. Your viewer doesn't, even if they don't really realize what's going on subconsciously, they see something's off, and it can be a deterrent, right? Let's see, what else do I want to tell you? So yeah, there's captions with magic emphasis. I absolutely use that. It's crucial for pattern disrupts and holding people's attention, and we'll talk more about pattern disrupts shortly. Then there's the magic frame. Like I told you, it keeps the person or people in frame. And like I said, I still need to make adjustments here and there for my excessive movement. I do use Magic Media and Magic Sound a lot, which you'll see here shortly. But I just don't start with it automatically. Clean timeline for my personal taste. So now let's get into the hook. If you can't grab the attention of your viewer in the first 2 to 4 seconds, you've lost your audience. So here's what you need to know about creating an irresistible hook using my video that just went off with 30,000 views plus. So now, okay, we are still sharing. So what I want to do is I'm going to first check the chat, make sure there aren't any questions. Can we upload music that is accessible on IG in a mobile post? I don't believe that's possible yet, Ben. And I say yet just because I know from the behind the scenes of Minvo how much they're constantly adding. So it could be a thing down the road, but as of now, no. But you can choose from their library, from Minvo's library. You can also choose your own music and upload it. Here's one hack I am not promoting. But one thing I have done in the past, I haven't done it in the recent past, but I have done in the past. Sometimes I will pull in music that I know is licensed, that I know is available on Instagram. And I will actually, during my edit, put that music in, like I'll upload the music file. And then when it's all ready to go and ready to publish on Instagram, I'll go in Instagram and I'll attach that music through their library. And then I'll bring it all the way down the volume all the way down. So it's still kind of crediting that it is crediting that video, and it's linking to, I'm sorry, it's still crediting that music and linking to that music, but you're not actually really using it. That's just a little hack of my own that has worked and hasn't ever been pulled down before. Can't promise you that that's going to be the case for you, but I figure, what the heck, I'll share it with you. Okay, so that hook, that opening hook, let's first watch through this whole video. We'll do it in the Minvo timeline and we'll see how that does. Sometimes if you have any experience with Minvo and products like it, being that this is online software, sometimes it buffers a little bit or it drags a little bit here and there. So keep that in mind, but ideally this is how I'll share it because I don't feel like switching back and forth screens and what have you. So, or maybe I'll pull it up on TikTok for you, but here we go. Let's play through the whole video and then we'll talk about the first couple of seconds and how vital that is. I've been steering away from Google and YouTube to search when I'm looking for answers. I go to Perplexity AI first. Yeah. It'll give me a list of like step by step how to fix that faucet or what have you, and it'll give me the steps, and it'll also give me YouTube videos too. Even better now than using something like Google. Okay, so it was a little bit choppy, and that's also probably just because of internet connection too, because I'm also streaming live. But let's talk about these first couple of seconds. Like I said, I know the first really 2 seconds is probably the most critical as far as grabbing attention goes. So was this hook quick and to the point? It could have been quicker, right? But this is pulling from content. And when I was doing the interview, I certainly wasn't thinking about, ooh, this might be a short, so I need to say this opening line a lot quicker or etc. So with that in mind, I do believe that this is pretty quick and to the point. In the first 4 seconds, I say, I've been steering away from Google and YouTube. And I believe, let's see where that sentence actually, okay, looking for answers. So it stops around looking, but you get the main gist right away. It's something to do with Google and YouTube. And as a viewer, I'm watching and this person is saying, wow, they're steering away from Google and YouTube. That might intrigue me. Okay, I think this could have been, there's a few opportunities here. I think that usually starting with the most important keywords of a hook, if you remember an interview we did with Heather Parody, she talks about that. Start with those keywords at the very front as best you can, right? So I might say instead, this line could have been maybe, Google and YouTube are old news. I found something better to search, or I found a better search tool, right? So now that could in itself have kept people longer. And I know that, let me see, I think I wrote these percentages down somewhere here. I know that I lost a huge chunk of my audience after 2 seconds, even though it still did well. And I'm going to pull this up. Let me find this stat for you. Stand by. Okay. I, of course, can't find it. The first 2, here we go. It looks like the average watch time total of this video that was 17 seconds was 8.3. Yeah, 8.3 minutes. I'm sorry, seconds. 8.3 minutes would be great. And about 16% of the viewers, they started and they completed the entire video from start to finish. Okay, so they watched all 17. And I know that a big drop occurred after the first 2 seconds. Okay, so that's one way I could have maybe made this better. Maybe it could have been 6-figure views by now and 1,000 saves by now, who knows? And I believe that if I could have hooked people in sooner, I would have had more success with this video. But I do believe overall the hook was relatively quick. It was to the point. And beyond the opening line, what other hooks are here, right? This isn't just about the first line. A hook, yes, it's very important that that first line connects people to your video. And there are other elements involved here. Some of them we'll dig into now. Some we'll probably get into a little more in a few. I've been steering away from Google and YouTube. So two things right away. Well, three really. Three things in addition to the words that I said. One was, watch again, the very first frame. There is some action on visually on screen. I've been steering. You see it pop, zoom in and out with that little pop in and out, right? That's a hook. That's how I define part of a hook. Also, not sure if you could hear it listening live, but if you maybe put on some headphones, you probably will hear it better. I also added a sound effect, a pop, to go along with that pop effect. I've been steering away from. Okay, so, and then within the first 2 seconds, the last thing is you can see here that Google logo. I added some B-roll to help support the words that are coming out of my mouth, right? Google and YouTube to search for things. And YouTube, both also animated. I pulled those as GIFs in the Minvo library under the Magic Media section. So basically pulled that up, typed in Google, then selected the GIF tab and got a few options for me there. And that was the one I picked. That was the one that was just most straightforward and to the point, but I like having movement on it as opposed to just a still. And if I were to use just a still, I would probably then use one of Minvo's effects, like animation up here. I might have put maybe a slide in or a zoom in during the display of the logo. I might choose for it to zoom in to the screen. Some kind of movement really makes a big difference than just using a still image. And again, I will dig into a lot more of that in a moment. So yeah, we've got sound effects, we've got visuals, we've got the actual captions that are animated on the screen as well. You can see that here. And all of these things happened within the first 2 seconds. So it's important to find multiple ways to get your audience engaged right from the get-go. And if anything, if I were to say you had to pick a part of your short form video that had all sorts of effects, load them up at the very beginning. Okay, and let me see if I have any other notes for you on this. So I mentioned it briefly, pattern disrupts. That's what this is all about. When you think about somebody mindlessly scrolling, right? A lot of times they'll probably flip through a lot of videos that they probably would have enjoyed or gotten a lot of value out of, but because there wasn't anything to disrupt the scroll, disrupt that pattern, they probably swiped through it. So if you think about it like that, it's not just the words coming out of your mouth, which are very important in your hook, but it's also about how you're decorating the video, for lack of a better term. And as I said, I like to use sound effects at the very start with that pop noise and that visual pop as well to really drive that hook home. All right, so the next section here I want to share with you is video length and performance. Viral videos are quick moving and to the point. So is there an ideal length for the success of a video? Let's find out, because I know I continue to hear and see from other creators that the trend, especially let's think about TikTok. TikTok recently, a few months ago, started really pushing to do longer videos, right? Because I think the philosophy there is, okay, if creators can keep people on our platform longer, that's a win. So we want to encourage creators to do that. But the trend continues to show from the research I've done, 7 to 8 second videos are still generally the best performing ones when it comes to short form content. That does not mean that longer videos won't be successful. I also had a video recently come out that was almost 40 seconds, and that one got close to 10,000 views. Okay, so it is possible, but it is something to consider. 7 to 8 seconds, it seems to be the sweet spot. Now, I have a hard time with 7 to 8 second videos as a creator. I have a hard time conveying whatever the message is that I want to convey within 7 to 8 seconds. I don't feel like it's really adding a lot of value. And to me, that's what my content's about. It's about adding value for content creators so that they can learn something new, ideally, or look at something from a different perspective. And I can't do it all the time in 7 to 8 seconds. Most of the time, I haven't been able to. But what it's encouraged me to do after really, I would say at least the past year of struggling to get more, even up to 1,000 views, I've decided recently I'm going to try to do these as short and sweet as I can. So if you are a Minvo user, when you upload that long form video, one of the questions that Minvo asks when it's received that content is, what do you want to, oh, what is it? I'm sorry. I just lost my train of thought. I told you I had ADHD. Just lost my train of thought. Darn it. Oh, it asks you about how long you want the shorts to be. So I'm always choosing that first one. I think it's 30 seconds. And actually, I'm going to put in a request to the team that there's even shorter, like under 30 seconds as an option. I think that's really key. And it also helps me, and it helps guide me to picking shorter videos from the get-go. So let's see. All right, 7 to 8 second videos are on average the best performing. I already shared with you, I've been struggling with to get even 1,000 views lately. A year or two ago, I was putting out videos that on average were getting anywhere from 10 to 25,000 views. And that changed considerably. And that was mostly Instagram, although I've had similar successes on TikTok. So the average watch time of my video that I think I've already shared with you, of the one that we're looking at here, was 8.3 seconds, and only 16% of viewers watched the video from start to finish, and still got over 32,000. The notable drop-off occurred about 7 to 8 seconds in, and that I think I have the answer to. So let's watch the first 7 seconds, and I'm going to tell you why I believe, and you might figure it out too. As a matter of fact, if you're in the chat right now, I'm going to play the first 7 to 8 seconds, and I want you to tell me why you think at that point people dropped off. And I'm not taking because your video sucks as an answer, because it doesn't. All right, let's play it and let's see what you think. I've been steering away from Google and YouTube to search for things when I'm looking for answers. I go to Perplexity AI first.
Yeah.
It'll give me a list. Okay, that's just about 8 seconds, 7.9 seconds. So if you are in the chat right now, I would love to hear from you. Why do you think people dropped off? Such a considerable amount of people dropped off after 7 to 8 seconds. If you are in the chat, please share. I will give you a moment. I'm looking at the chats here. Okay, nobody's gonna make an attempt here at the guess. Okay, then I'll just share it with you. I think it's because right here, I say I go to Perplexity AI first. I revealed the answer in those 7 to 8 seconds. Also, we know that 7 to 8 second videos happen to perform really well, so it's interesting to see that correlation. But I believe if I would have waited to reveal Perplexity and instead skipped to here, where I start talking about what Perplexity does, but I haven't revealed it yet. It'll give me a list of like step by step, how to add faucet or what have you, and it'll give me the steps, and it'll also give me YouTube videos too. So if I were to have where it says, and it'll give me YouTube videos too, if I had then said, and that's Perplexity AI, at the end, I bet you more people would have stuck on this video longer because they're engaged watching and hearing about why and how I use this instead of Google or YouTube. That's one big reason why, right? And so let me make sure I cover everything else, but that's to me, that was the big quote unquote mistake. So I could have cut that out completely, that part where I reveal it. And then maybe what I could have done is uploaded a video to Minvo where I then reveal it like after the fact. Or I could cut it out, upload it to Minvo, and then tack it on as an outro at the end. I hope that made sense. If it didn't, let me know in the chat and I'll try to explain that a little more clearly. But yeah, so the lesson learned there for me is next time I'm going to demonstrate the use of something like a Perplexity AI and reveal that it's Perplexity later toward the end of that video to maintain that longer engagement. Okay, so who wants more views on their videos? Trimming the fat is crucial. So let's look at how cutting fluff from my 30,000 plus view video, how that got me that 30,000 plus views by cutting out a lot of the fluff. Now, admittedly, this project in here, I had already cut out a lot of the fluff. I had isolated this particular clip from the long form and then uploaded it. And I had trimmed some of the fluff or the fat. But I can still tell you an opportunity here, and then I'll show you a different video that'll demonstrate this more clearly. But here's an example. So again, we're talking about the first several seconds. And I missed an opportunity to make this shorter. So I've been steering away from Google and YouTube to search for things when I'm looking for answers. That's a mouthful when it comes to a hook. And it's a risk that I took that didn't pay off because people dropped after 2 seconds. Looking back now, I would probably cut out when I'm looking for answers. Everybody knows when you're on Google or YouTube to search for things, I shouldn't say everybody, but most people know that you're looking for answers to something, right? It's unnecessary. It's not that it's invalid. It's just unnecessary. And let's just, for argument's sake, let's just see. I know it's not going to make a considerable difference, but we're talking about a video that's almost 18 seconds. If I cut that out, well, now we've cut it down to 16 and a half seconds. So we've saved like almost 3 seconds. So crucial when we know that videos on average, the more successful ones are 7 to 8 seconds long. So that's an example. Now I can stop sharing for a second. And now I've confused myself. Let me pull up the Riverside. Here we go. And now what I'm going to do is share a different video. This is the one that got me close to 10,000 views on TikTok. Let me go back to share screen. And let me pick the right tab. Bear with me. This is not as easy. Here it is. Okay. So this was a different video, did really well. I actually had higher expectations for this video, despite it being 39 seconds long, because it uses a lot of a formula that I have shared with the Minvo community on our YouTube channel before. It starts with several things that really contribute to a good hook. One is the first two words are Taylor Swift. I promise you that just about any video that starts with Taylor Swift will probably keep that viewer's attention a little bit longer these days anyway. Right? And the fact that there are words like $100 million deal on screen, I'm using a title on this one. I think that's really crucial too. And I also open up with some B-roll right away. Now I have to remember why exactly I was just sharing that with you. Oh, for cutting out the fluff. You can see just alone, if you look on the left-hand side here, you can see how I cut out a lot, right? So first of all, filler words like, that's easy fluff. And you can always consider using one of the tools here from Minvo, the Magic Cut tool. I personally like to just cut out the filler words where I see fit. Sometimes they just make sense being there. Most of the time, though, I just like making the cuts. Old school. So this was a conversation on the Podcasting Morning Chat, my daily morning show. And on that show, we have multiple voices, right? We have listeners participating in the conversation. I have co-hosts participating in the conversation. So I'm going to cut out a lot of the fluff, right? Where I say, go ahead, Alex. We don't need that for a short form video. And if you look, though, look at how much stuff I cut out here, right? This is a lot of information that I at first kept in and said to myself, this is important stuff. But the more I thought about it, it needs to be short and sweet. So is it really that crucial to telling this story? And the answer was no. I also look for things like when myself or others participating are repeating themselves a lot. Sometimes when we're looking for the right words, we'll say something that we had just said either literally a moment ago or a few moments ago. We'll repeat it while we're looking for the right words. So even things like this is a good example, actually. So the next participant came in and wanted to disagree with someone else's opinion that was just shared. And they say, I disagree. I disagree completely. All you need is one of those disagrees. You don't need to have both. And it may seem like I'm nitpicking or it's semantics, but when we're making content where every video counts, where every second counts, you got to take advantage of that kind of situation. Get rid of repeat words, not necessary. So I really looked for what are the main points this person, or really what's the main point this person's making, and then get rid of everything else around it. Don't get caught in the trap that I used to get caught in, which is, no, but the viewer needs all of the information. It's not fair to the viewer if I'm not presenting the entire picture to them. I think as creators, we kind of want to do that, and we just feel compelled. But you can't get that done in seconds. You can't get all the things out in seconds. So find the most important points. And the beautiful part that I had to teach myself and learn from experience, when you cut out stuff, it might create more questions, which is an awesome thing. You want people to ask questions in the comments. You want people to debate you. You want people to say, wait, that doesn't make sense because of X, Y, and Z. And you may have said it because you may have said that X, Y, and Z, but you cut it out, and that's okay. It's creating engagement. Those comments contribute to the success of the video. Algorithms are looking for that kind of engagement, for people to comment and respond. And if you get hate, I got hate on this particular video I'm showing you right now. I got hate about it, and I welcomed it because it created more comments and it kept the video, it kept TikTok pushing it out to more people. So let's go back now to the original clip. Stand by. And any questions so far in the chat? If you've got any, let me know. I'm going to stop this. Yeah, let me know. Do you have any questions, any thoughts, any opinions so far on what I've shared? And now I'm going to go back and then I'll come check the chat and see if you do, in fact. Okay. So we're back on this one. Let me check the chat. Stand by. Any questions? Nothing on LinkedIn at the moment. How can we grab retention? Rahul says, he said, me want more views. So how can we grab retention? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. More than one integration is the primary. Sorry, I'm just reading here. It looks like there was an error message on YouTube. Fascinating. Well, hopefully you're over on LinkedIn and we'll upload this later. Interesting. Okay. No questions then. And let me see if any, and as far as that question about retention, sorry, Rahul. I think what I'm showing you really are the keys to retention, keeping people's attention. And what are ways we can do that? Now, ultimately, I should say this first and foremost, your content has to be something that your target audience is interested in. It's got to, because if it's not, in most cases, most platforms are first pushing your content out to the people who already follow you. And if it's not of interest to them, they're skipping by and the algorithm is saying, okay, no go. We don't need to push this out to any others. All right. So let me see here if I have anything else I can share with you about cutting out the fluff. I think I've shared it all. So let's talk about making the video engaging. And stick around, because if you are on the LinkedIn guest list, if you registered, I will be spinning the wheel and we will pick a lifetime subscription to Minvo winner right here, but you got to be present. Last week we spun it twice. Those two people were not present. We didn't give it away. So you got to be here to win it. So making the video engaging. Engagement is everything in short form content. So here's some proven techniques that I've used that's kept tens of thousands of viewers hooked. So when editing video with Minvo, I don't, as I said, always use all those magic edits, right? And I absolutely do it once I've started the process. So it's the initial upload when Minvo asks me, what tools do you want to use? I pick very limited. But then when I go in and I've edited my video down to what I believe is the ideal length, then I go in and play. Then I take advantage of these awesome features. And I'm not just saying that because this is the Minvo Procast. I'm saying that because I am an avid user of this product. And it has made a big difference for me, especially over the last few weeks as I've really come to master this tool. So the presets I frequently use, captions with magic emphasis, and these captions are essential for those pattern disrupts and maintaining audience's attention. Keeps things moving on the screen, right? And those words that you want emphasized, they get bigger, bolder, and that really helps people connect with your messaging. Even if you didn't put an actual emphasis on the word coming out of your mouth, the fact that it can be emphasized in the video via text, I think is really helpful and important. And I told you I use the Magic Frame, and I told you how, so I don't need to dig into that any further. And Magic Media and Sound, that's the one I probably use the most. What I sometimes do is, let's say I've edited the video together and I know I want to add B-roll to it, right? GIFs, photos, video, etc. But I'm not sure what I want to do, where I want to place it. Sometimes I just get that creator block. So that's when I'll go into the project and ask Minvo to add more. Here, let me pull up the AI tools, right? Like I might just go in here before, without adding any of my manual stuff, and I'll just say, activate the Magic Media and allow it to place things. Usually I like the placement it picks, and often I'm not crazy about, and this isn't always, but often I'm not crazy about what it actually chooses, but it helps me think about, oh, okay, I see what it's trying to do there. That makes sense, but I know I can find something better. And I am a sucker for GIFs, whatever you call them, but I am a sucker for them because I like them because they often add a little bit of humor or maybe a lot of bit of humor, and you can often add ones that are trending right now to really maximize people's attention. So yeah, those are the ones that I like to use. And I also like to use sound with them. So let me show you an example. One that I actually used sound. Here we go. Okay. So in this part of the video, I say what I like about Perplexity is it gives me step-by-step instructions, and I just off the top of my head said how to fix that faucet. And so what I did was I thought about and actually did pull B-roll of a leaky faucet to pop up on here. But then I thought about, well, you know what? I think it's going to be more effective to demonstrate the actual Perplexity in use for that very question, how to fix a leaky faucet. So I pulled out my phone, went to Perplexity on my phone, turned on the screen record, did it, right? And then uploaded it as B-roll to Minvo. And then what I did was, since I didn't use the visual, I added an effect of a leaky faucet. And I hope you can hear it here. If you don't, put on your headphones. This is what it sounds like. Here, let me give it a little bit of a lead in here. List of like step-by-step, how to fix that faucet or what have you, and it'll give. So there you go. There was that echoey room with a leaky faucet. Those little things, again, cause pattern disrupts. Now, we do know that a lot of people, when they're scrolling, a lot of times don't have the sound on, right, initially. And it's my belief that once you hook them in, if they're really interested, they're probably turning on the sound. I know that's how I do it. I watch others. That seems to be how they do it too. And sound just adds another layer. And again, a lot of times this is all subconscious for the viewer. They have no idea why they're staying engaged. And as a matter of fact, I shared this entire video with a friend of mine who's had a lot of success on TikTok, Piano Dad Dan, if you want to look him up. And he watched this video once, and I shared it with him. Wow, look at this. I'm starting to get up to your level. And he said, wow, that's crazy. What do you think it was? And I told him all the things I'm telling you. And when I told him about the videos, the GIFs, the sound effects, etc., his first response was, wow, I didn't even realize you had B-roll and sound effects in there. But that's just because it's all subconsciously happening. So I encourage you to use as much as you can, especially when you're doing talking head videos. We see now, as viewers, we see so many of these videos because podcasting, which was once mostly audio, is now audio and video. And these podcasters, A lot of them don't have the time, budget to do full length video edits. So I'm looking at my screen here. Give me a second. I want to make sure I share something with you. Okay, thank you for waiting. Multiple ADHD moments today, by the way. So bear with me. And where was I? Okay, yeah, and if you're in the chat, let me know where I was because I completely lost my place. Let me see if anybody. Okay, so with that, yeah, the people don't always know why they're engaged, but they're kept engaged. So in this particular video, the talking head thing, I chose to keep just us, right? I didn't try to go in just on, zoom in just on me or isolate just me or go back and forth to show Jason's reactions. I thought that 2-box was super important to be able to see me talking. And then again, another layer, having somebody on the screen listening and visually reacting. We're going to naturally, as viewers, zoom in on that, zero in on that, and see who is this person? How are they reacting and responding? Again, a lot of that subconscious, but it is happening. So I chose the 2-box, and so therefore it's important, if you're going to do just talking heads, to add a lot of layers to keep people's attention and make sure they're relevant. Those layers are relevant. Like, for example, it might work putting up an image of Taylor Swift somewhere, since I mentioned her earlier, but if it has nothing to do with your content, you're probably just going to piss off a lot of your target audience, and they're just going to move on. So yes, I've shared now. I personally like using funny or trending GIFs to add humor and engagement. I add animated logos if I'm referencing a particular company, for example. I like to use an animated version of their logo so it moves more. It's not just a static image. And where Perplexity's logo wasn't available, I ended up pulling their logo from Google. Actually, yeah, from Google. And let me pull this up. And what I did was I put a move on that logo. You'll see here how it, even though the image itself is static, the whole image is still moving on the screen thanks to the help of Minvo's effects. Looking for answers, I go to Perplexity AI first. Yeah. It'll give me a list. See that? It moved. It came in from the top. It zoomed in the middle, and then it went down and off the screen. Keeping people engaged. Anything else? Oh, and lastly, I think I should show you. Sometimes you're just not going to find any of the B-roll specifically that you're looking for, right? Like that you're looking at on screen, or more importantly, something like this, where it's YouTube videos demonstrating the videos. So give me YouTube video, right? That or faucet or what have you. And see how it showed the results. Right, so that's a screen record. I just pull out my phone, do the thing, like I told you about earlier. And then I upload it to Minvo and place it where I want to place it, trim it where I want to trim it, and we're good to go. So utilize the actual things that you're talking about, record them and put them up there to help tell your story or emphasize the story you're telling. We are going to spin the wheel in just a moment. Last thing I want to touch on, which I know I've shared a little bit already, sound effects and visuals can make or break your content. So let's explore how I used them effectively in this particular video. So like I've shared, I did that pop sound effect to go along with the visual pop. I've been steering away from Google and YouTube to search for things when I'm looking for. There were sounds again. Search for things when I'm looking for answers. You hear the person pounding on the keyboard. To search for things when I'm looking for answers, right? grab audio to help you tell your story. That faucet or what have you. Leaky faucet. I don't think I used one over here. I could have used something here like some kind of computer sound effect or something that indicates it's generating the answers. That's another way I could have done it. What else? Oh, there was a sound effect here. That's the last thing I'll say, is just like how I like to have a sound effect at the very beginning, I like to have one at the very end, because this was another opportunity that I think I blew it. The last line here, let's play it. Dude, I like it even better now than using something like Google. I added that ding in there, and I made that part of that ending scene pop out because I knew it from the get-go. It was kind of a wasted line. I like it even better now than using something like Google. Well, first of all, I already said that basically at the very beginning, so why put it in at the end? I felt compelled to have some sort of ending as opposed to ending at, and it'll also give me YouTube videos too. I felt like it needed that bookend. But the truth of the matter is that more people dropped for those last 2 seconds when I looked at the TikTok insights. And so my suspicion was right, even though, yeah, I flared it up a little bit, gave it some sound. That's probably how I kept anybody on for the very last couple of seconds. But I think if I were to do this again, and I might repurpose this again and with my tweaks that I'm sharing with you just to see, but I would probably have just eliminated that line altogether now and just ended it with, it also gives me videos. Because that really wraps it up. It really does finish the story. It doesn't need a nice little bow tied up at the end. And it keeps it shorter. Had I got rid of that? Let's find out. As the owl in the Tootsie Roll commercial says. Let's find out. Yeah, so now it's just about 15 seconds, which, again, this whole thing was about 19 seconds. So I would have saved myself some time there. All right, who wants to spin the wheel? Let's do that, because I think, again, this video did around 33,000 views. It had 500 plus likes, around 300-ish saves, if I'm remembering correctly. And how did I do that? I had a strong hook. I made it shorter than the length of my usual videos. I cut out a lot of the fluff. I made it tighter and more engaging. And I utilized techniques like captions, sound effects, and visual effects to increase engagement. So I hope that was helpful to you. And now let me pull up the wheel. So if you are listening live and you did RSVP, you are going to be eligible to win. If you're not here, I will pull it once more and give somebody else a shot. And if nobody wins it, come back next week and register for next week, because we'll do it again. Lifetime subscription to Minvo. Let me share my screen. Here's the wheel. I use pickerwheel.com. And let me just make sure people are here in the chat. Looks like it. Yep. All right. Here we go. I'm going to spin the wheel. Who will be our lucky winner, and are you here right now? Kenneth, I think you were here. So let's see if you are still here. You were here earlier. I saw that. The question is Kenneth still here? Oh, Kenneth. Let's see. I'm going to even type it in the chat here. Kenneth, are you here? Let's see if we get Kenneth. If not, I'm going to spin once more. Oh, come on, Kenneth. We'll have to check the rule book because he was here, but really, technically, I believe you got to be here when the wheel is spinning and to say, I'm here when I call your name. So with that, I'm going to hide Kenneth from the wheel, spin once more, and let's see who our backup winner is. So if Matt's here right now to claim his prize, he wins it. If not, come back next time. Let's give him a minute. Okay. So we'll let you know the outcome of this wheel spinning. And we're going to do it again next week with my special guest, Gil. Gil is an amazing guy helping lots of content creators. He's really a whiz at knowing all the different hardware out there that won't break the bank. He knows the kind that will break the bank too. And he'll show us some cool techniques and things that we can be doing to make our content visually and audibly more appealing. So that's next Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Please come join us here on the Minvo Procast. And until next time, make it a great day, everybody. Take care.